There's a version of motherhood that does not make it to the highlight reels, that does not make it to my shorts, that does not make it to the internet sometimes. And that is the version of me that some of you guys saw a little bit of in my last vlog, the overstimulated version. And it's not always my proudest moments as a mom, but it is the reality of being a mom. I really did not plan on filming this, but I needed somebody to talk to, so I'm talking to y'all. So if you watch my last vlog, then you know that I had to change all of my plans for what was supposed to be an outing to the mall and lunch with all 4 of my children. I had the whole day planned out because, as you know, I have a 22-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and then the toddler, and she's 3. So it is very rare that I get to spend a day with all 4 of my children. So I was actually really excited. I had made a whole plan. We were gonna leave home early because I know that the baby is only good for so much time being out and about, right? If you haven't already checked out the video, I'll link it down below. Go and check it out. But what ended up happening was the baby had a hard time, and I like to choose my battles. She became overstimulated, and in turn, mama became overstimulated, and we got something from Chick-fil-A, and we came right back home, child. That's all I was good for. It is not something that happens all the time, but it is something that happens often. And if I'm being quite honest, it's not just the baby that causes us to have a change of plans. If you have teenagers, then you know sometimes they get in the car, they might start bickering with each other. Baby, listen, when my kids get to kidding, it's time for us to wrap it up and take it on back home. It's easier to say that it's the baby, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not always her. Even with my grown child, he does not live with me, but there are instances where you might be the reason that we ain't going nowhere either, buddy. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like that's the part of motherhood that people don't talk about often because, or at least they don't talk about it online often because idealistically it's just not a good look. But the reality of parenting is that it is not always gonna be smooth days, matching outfits, hanging out, planning an outing, coming home, taking a nap. Like, it doesn't always go like that. I have been a mom for a very, very, very long time. And I know that it is actually rare for us to have a day that goes as planned. Oftentimes, and I mentioned this in the last video, when you have an overstimulated day, or you know, like we like to say, my nerves bad. When your nerves get bad, people like to say, well, those are your kids. This is what you asked for. You wanted to go and have kids. I try to tell you, and that is not always the reaction that I want to hear. Because one has nothing to do with the other, in my opinion. Yes, I plan to have a baby. Yes, these are my children. These are my decisions to make to have the kids. However, that does not change the fact that I am human. But back to that day. So by the time I made it home, honestly, I felt defeated. I went ahead and I wrapped up the vlog. I actually started to say, forget that vlog, and turn that camera off and go and sit down somewhere. But I wrapped it up. I still ended up posting it because it was just a transparent moment. It just was a mom moment. Like, that happens when you have children. Or even if you don't have kids. Like, some days I get overstimulated by things that's going on at work, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. But I wasn't defeated because of anything that the baby did wrong or anything that the kids did wrong. I was defeated because, honestly, I just felt like I didn't have anything left to give. And I feel like that is a place that moms, especially, maybe dads, I don't know, I've only ever been a mom. But that's a place that I feel like moms find themselves often. Like, what next? Like, what more can I do? What more can I give? And I don't feel like that's talked about enough, because I think that the idea that if I say that I don't have anything left to give, if I say that I'm overwhelmed, I almost feel like I'm gonna be persecuted or charged for being a bad mom or something. Like, I don't know. Then when you have those days or when you have those moments, then the guilt starts to set in. Like, am I doing too much? Was I not patient enough? Am I not getting enough rest? It's not their fault, you know. So I've talked about this before. It's one of the reasons why I am very open with my older children about my struggles with mental health. I'm very open with my children, and sometimes I'll let them know, like, look, I just need a second. Y'all not doing anything wrong, but I need a second. Because if I'm being honest, there are times where I might be overwhelmed or overstimulated, and my kids are like rolling their eyes like, oh my God, I didn't even do anything to her. So I always feel like it is very important for me to remind them that yes, I'm overstimulated, but no, you didn't necessarily do anything wrong. Even when they have their moments, like teenagers are gonna bicker, toddlers are going to have meltdowns. I let them know like that's normal, but give me a second. Like, I don't ever want them to feel like they're doing something out of the ordinary or they're doing something wrong and that's causing me to have a negative reaction, if that makes sense. And then I might slide off to the back and shed a couple tears. Like, have y'all ever cried in silence or went into the bathroom and just had like a oh my God moment because you don't want your kids to see you have like a meltdown? That's me. I have those moments. I have had plenty of those moments over the last 22 years. It is so important for me to always let my kids know that the things that you're doing, you got in trouble in school. Yes, that might be like, oh my God, I had to leave work because you did something wrong at school. We're going to correct the issue of why you got in trouble. But I'm also always letting my kids know that is normal. You're a child. You're going to do things. That's how we learn. So it's like you always have to find a balance in, yes, I'm overstimulated. Yes, sometimes they can see and they can pick up on the cues that I'm overstimulated, but I also have to communicate with them like, it's okay. What you're doing is normal. What I'm doing is normal, but we're going to have to find balance as far as me regrouping. And the other part of that is, you have to be okay with the fact that sometimes, baby, you gonna overstimulate them children. Sometimes you gonna get on their nerves and you have to let them have their moment. Do not let them disrespect you, but let them have their moment. Cause let's be for real, they're human too. Like, I know for a fact I get on my children's nerves. For a fact. Baby, it's some days where we all up in here overstimulated. I'm overstimulated, the children overstimulated, my husband come home, he might be overstimulated, baby. Everybody nerves bad. Everybody nerves bad, and it's okay. We allow us to have those moments, and sometimes you can probably hear a mouse piss on cotton in this house because everybody in their own little corner of the house regrouping and recharging because everybody done got on everybody's nerves, and that is okay. When it's not okay is when overstimulation turns into disrespect. That's one thing I don't play. I talk about this all the time on my channel, that I am one of my kids' little friends, but there's always a thin line between our friendship, me being a parent, and respecting each other. They could talk to me about anything. When I say anything, as long as they are not disrespectful. And respect works both ways as parents. I don't ever believe in the idea of I'm your mom, you just have to do what I say, whether I'm being disrespectful or not. I respect my children. I do not disrespect them, but that is literally a topic for another day. But here's the guilt of it all. But see, this is why I needed somebody to talk to, because do y'all ever feel like as moms, we're supposed to have it all together? Like, we are supposed to have the routine. We're supposed to be available when the kids call, when the school calls, when doctor's appointments come up. And then it's like, where does that leave us? Like, where does that leave us as far as needing help? Like, I sometimes I feel like moms are not supposed to need help. And for sure, mom's not supposed to be overstimulated, because then you just, you getting all kind of side eyes and sidebar conversations about you. Let's be honest, like, that's really how it is. Like, I love my kids more than anything, but sometimes mama needs rest. Sometimes mama needs rest, and sometimes I find that when I voice to other people that I need rest, I'm judged, right? You know, I've shared a little bit about this, especially with the baby having autism. God forbid I say that I need a break from my child. Like, I think that that's almost taboo. But I'm telling you, after 22 years of being a mom, I can promise you, needing rest does not make you a bad mom. In fact, my personal experience is getting rest, taking time to yourself, having a break from your children makes you a good mom. Because when you're burned out, when you're frustrated, when you are constantly overstimulated, that can cause you to do or say things that you may later regret as a mom. Like, I remember when I was a single mom, my parents helped, but my parents still had jobs. They had their own life. So when I was a single mom, I didn't always get it right. Let me just be honest and say that I did not always get it right with managing and coping with my overstimulation, with my tiredness. However, I used to come home from work, I would pick the kids up, we would come in, and I would literally go lock myself in my bedroom for like 30 minutes. And to this day, my kids, they laugh about it now, but I wasn't doing a good job of communicating with them why I needed time away. So in hindsight, my kids thought at the time that they had did something wrong and that I needed a break from them because I wasn't communicating. But there were a lot of times where I didn't have help. It was just me. It was just me. I was expected to do it all. So my advice is always to communicate. If your kids are too young to communicate, baby, make resting into a game. And let's lay down. Because I tell my toddler this all the time. You get on your pillow and I'm gonna get on my pillow. And she gets her tablet or whatever she's doing and she'll climb in the bed and I'm able to rest and regroup. So communication is key even when the kids are too young. Like, communicate with them. I promise you, from experience, from the relationship that I have with my older kids now, your kids would appreciate and love you more for communicating with them. The other thing is, it shows them that when they've had a rough day or when they're overstimulated, it's okay for them to feel like that. They know that they're not gonna get in trouble for, being over it or having a rough day, because they see that mama then told us today she done had a day, okay? So communicate with your kids. Like, don't feel like because they're kids, they don't understand or you can't communicate with them. You meet them at their level with where they are and you communicate with them. But I don't have all the answers. I probably never will. Parenting is forever evolving. You are forever going to be learning stuff from your kids, even when they are grown with their own families. Trust me, I know. But what I can tell you, if motherhood has ever felt like it's just too much for you, you are not alone and you are not wrong. And when people have stuff to tell you about, oh, that's your family and that's your this, that, and the third, girl, F them people. I may or may not be kidding when I say that. But drop down in the comments below. Let me know, what do you do when you feel overwhelmed and overstimulated when it comes to being a mom? Or just let me know if this resonates with you. Let's normalize talking about being overwhelmed and overstimulated as a mom out loud. Everything is not always aesthetically pleasing. Everything is not always a cute morning routine, kids marching out the door. Baby, listen, it is not always like that. In fact, it is rarely like that. Trust me. If you can relate to this video, make sure that you've subscribed if you've made it this far and you haven't already done so. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in another vlog on Sunday. That's it. That's all. Bye.